My son sacrificed his life to save me. These powers are not a gift, but a curse. Born out of rage. So I'm opted out.
This loose cannon needs to be locked down before innocent people start getting hurt.
He's been asleep for 5,000 years.
You find us a cell that can hold him, we'll take care of the rest.
Who's on the team?
I didn't bring a passport.
You don't need passports. You're the Justice Society. Here we go. This world. Or you can be its savior.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my new Black Adam trailer video. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs here connecting it to the other DCEU movies, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. They're also having a big Disney Plus day this weekend with a bunch of Marvel trailers, probably some Star Wars trailers. I'll be doing videos for all that stuff as well, too. The big thing in this trailer is revealing the actual main villain of the film. Like, Black Adam is the anti-hero of the film, so you have to have somebody in the movie that's even worse for him to go up against eventually. And that's going to be the Sabbac character from the Shazam comics. They also show you a bunch more of the Justice Society in their mansion from the comics. It's like an upgraded version that you imagine that they would do in live action. We saw some interiors of it briefly in the previous trailers, but now we get like the full shot, and they kind of do the X-Men thing in the original X-Men films, where literally like the yard opens up to an actual hangar bay. It gave me classic X-Men vibes with the X-Jet coming out of the basketball court. The other big thing here, too, we find is that Amanda Waller has a big cameo scene. It's meant to take place after the events of the Suicide Squad movie in Peacemaker. But she's the person that calls the Justice Society to go take care of Black Adam when people find out that he's come back. So the whole idea is that she's not sending them to take care of Sabbac, like that hasn't become a thing yet. Inner Gang seems like they're trying to resurrect Sabbac and use his powers. It sounds like at the beginning of the movie, they unwittingly unleash Black Adam, like Adriana Tomaz's character unleashes him using this spell here. Then Amanda Waller finds out about it at Argus, and she calls the Justice Society to take care of it. They do probably have a reason for Amanda Waller not calling the Justice League, and it's probably because they don't want to have anything to do with her. Like in the past, we saw her have most of her dealings with Batman, but even with all the craziness that's happening in the Flash movie, in the Flashpoint storyline that they're doing, like they're messing a little bit with the timeline. After the fact, Amanda Waller is so shady, Batman probably doesn't want to have anything to do with her, and the other Justice League characters wouldn't either, like Superman wouldn't want to deal with Amanda Waller. The Rock has been hyping up Black Adam vs. Superman in the future, and there is supposed to be some kind of Henry Cavill Superman cameo scene at the end. The same way that he had a cameo scene at the end of the first Shazam movie. But the way The Rock explained it is that after Black Adam gets released from his prison, he's been gone for 5,000 years, so he comes out not knowing anything about any of the Justice League characters. He might know a little bit about Wonder Woman and the Amazonians, but that'd probably be it. There is this whole sequence where Amanda Waller talks about actually capturing Black Adam and holding him in a prison. Then you see all these scenes seemingly of Black Adam without his powers, wearing his ancient clothing from Kahndaq, stuck underwater, and that might be how they capture him. Like somehow he might say his power word, which is Shazam, like the Shazam characters, which deactivates his abilities. But the big thing in the comics is that he rarely does this. Like, he never wants to turn his powers off. Like, usually if that happens, someone tricks him into doing it. Because if this is meant to be Black Adam held in prison without his powers, he looks way less swole than this version of Black Adam. They might just be playing it this way for a big reveal when he says his power word again, activating his powers, and bursts out in this huge explosion, making it a big WTF moment in the movie. But I think the whole idea is them presenting the choice to him, whether or not he's going to actually help them, or if he's just going to ignore the problem and do his own thing and try to take over Kahndaq. When Dr. Fate is talking about choosing different paths, the whole idea with his character is that one of his abilities, in the movie at least, is that he has seen visions of the future, and he's basically talking about this apocalypse, and he's not talking about the one that we see during the Justice League Snyder Cut, because that's also an apocalypse of a very different kind. Make all the dark side Apocalypse references you want, because Apocalypse and Apocalypse, two completely different ideas, but you do see the similarity in the name of the Apocalypse planet to the actual idea of destruction Apocalypse. Usually in the comics they play him this way, like very dark anti-hero. He'll usually work against the heroes a lot of times, but then eventually when the chips are down, like when it's really needed, he will help them out begrudgingly. I think that's one of the other reasons why they included Hawkman instead of Hawkgirl during the movie, because either one would work just based on the explainer here. The fact that they resurrect, they would still be alive in present day. Because they want you to identify more with this hardcore mindset, and Hawkman is way more hardcore in the comics than Hawkgirl. Usually he's the guy that you have to stop from wrecking everything in sight, and that's kind of the same vibe with Black Adam during the movie. He just wants to mow through everybody that's in his way. I'll explain the differences between the Justice Society of the DCEU and what they've been doing this whole time, like in the timeline of the DCEU, while the Justice League has been operating. Because within the context of the DCEU movies, with the exception of the Wonder Woman movie, which obviously takes place in the distant past, most of what happens with the Justice League forming actually happens relatively close to present day, and the version of the Justice Society that we meet at the beginning of the movie is Hawkman and Dr. Fate, and they're like the remnants of an older team that mostly died off through the course of their adventures. And they're the two ones that have just survived to present day, and they reformed the team with Cyclone and Atom Smasher, the new young people. The big thing with the Sabbac villain that's similar to the Shazam characters is that just like the gods that give Shazam and Black Adam their powers, like their names are acronyms, they get their powers from different gods. The title of the Shazam movie is literally Fury of the Gods, and it's all about the daughters of Atlas, one of the gods that gives Shazam his powers, trying to take the power back for themselves. Obviously, Black Adam is connected to the Shazam movies, even though they're not going to have like a giant crossover for at least a couple more movies. You can see how they're trying to make a lot of the Easter eggs and connections in the lore in both of the movies line up with each other so that when they do cross over, everything makes sense, like the timeline will make sense. The Sabbac villain is kind of like a demon that does the same thing as the gods that the Shazam characters get their powers from. He can grant people powers the same way, but what might be happening in the movie is that either he himself finds a way to walk the planet and wants to just take it over himself, or he picks an avatar and just takes over their body and then tries to take over the world. One of the other big changes that some of you may have noticed in this trailer from the previous ones is that they've completely changed the color correction, so all the footage doesn't have this weird orange cast to it. They also added some subtitles to Black Adam when he's speaking to them in Kahndaq, like he's using the Kahndaq language when he's talking to these other mercenaries, taking them out. Your magic is weak when they're trying to kill him with the bullets. The voiceover from the woman in the trailer taking to Black Adam for task, calling him on his bullcrap, like you're only here for revenge, you don't want to do anything good. That's probably Adriana Tomaz's character, and she's probably the one that brings him around on actually helping them out by the end of the movie. Because she and her little brother are meant to remind him of his former wife and son who died in the past. If you haven't read the comics, there's a long-time romance between Adriana Tomaz and Black Adam. In present day, they become lovers and he grants some of his power to her. There's like a whole storyline. I don't know if they're going to do any of that in the movies. Maybe if they do sequels. I don't think we'll see that during this movie. They kind of just used that idea during Thor Love and Thunder with Thor sharing his power with other people. But that is basically what Shazam does in the Shazam movies, and you see it more during the Shazam 2 trailer. The whole idea that he shared his power with the rest of the family, so even though each one is weaker by default just because he's shared a certain amount of power with them, when they're able to work together, they're much more effective in a fight than like a single person like Black Adam. That's why when they fight him, the only times they're usually able to defeat him is when they all work together at the same time. But part of the comedy of the Shazam movies, like obviously the tone is very different from the Black Adam movie, is that they're still kind of learning how to do that. But I think when we get to the events of Shazam 2, the family has spent a little bit more time working with their powers, and they've gotten at least a little bit better. As for all the big changes at DC right now, like there's this new 10-year plan, they're still looking for their Kevin Feige. Reportedly, they almost found someone named Dan Lin who'd worked at some of the previous DC movies. Like he actually worked on the George Miller version of the Justice League movie back during the early 2000s when that was still a thing. Reportedly, that deal fell through and DC, Warner Brothers are still looking for their Kevin Feige person, so we'll find out who that is sometime in the next 6 months or so. I don't think they've formally announced it yet, but they might wind up delaying Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods because they don't want to compete with Avatar 2 that Disney is releasing. But if they delay that, it'll probably just be by a couple months, like it won't be that long. And even though there is all the craziness with Ezra Miller, I've already done a video about that because the Flash series is ending basically around the same time that they were originally going to release the Flash movie. But if they delay all the DC movies next year by a couple months, that's obviously going to change just a little bit too. The timing is a little bit weird, like you end the Flash series, and then you have the Flash movie like right after that. Is there going to be any kind of cameo scene going on there? There have been reports that Warner Brothers does want to do more with Henry Cavill, and we talked about him cameoing in the Black Adam movies because it sounds like The Rock really wants to do something with him in the movies. There have been all kinds of rumors about that. I don't know which are true and which are false. Reportedly, Henry Cavill has his own plans for the future of Superman, and Warner Brothers and him just can't come to an agreement yet. So a lot of that is still up in the air. Like, he could come back in cameos, but he could also really fully come back and do more full-blown Superman movies. If we get any more information about that in the next couple of months, of course I'll release a video about it, but I will do more Black Adam trailer videos and Easter eggs for the movie as it slowly comes out. There'll be more trailers as we get a little bit closer. I'll post all my Marvel trailers this weekend, just depending on whatever they wind up releasing. Make sure you enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. My full House of the Dragon Episode 4 video will post on Sunday too. Click here for my full House of the Dragon Episode 4 trailer video, and click here for my video on all the brand new scenes that they added to the Spider-Man No Way Home extended version of the movie that they just released. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.